signed off for on the permit documents as the public works person? Because it falls under you. After you sign off on it, you're saying that you are disconnected from the process from once your signature hits the ground, and you only are waiting on information to come back from Bureau Veritas.
That's the process, because you were here when Bureau Veritas was hired. The process is, when people come in with their plans and what have you, they submit this permit application and copies of the plans and 2 sets of plans and 1 set of civil, okay? I sign off on it on that time, verifying things like zoning. The technical stuff, we FedEx it that day or the next day to Bureau Veritas. And from that point, Bureau Veritas and the developer are in touch with each other, which is why we contract with Bureau Veritas, because we don't have those licensing and expertise. So my signature on this means nothing other than they applied for a permit and we instituted them into our procedure that you helped set up.
Since I set it up, I'm going to correct you.
Go ahead.
Because that is absolutely wrong. You signed on the public works piece, which says you verified that we have the waste and sewer for that development. Now, when we did it before, we had a city engineer who verified everything. We had Bureau Veritas, so we had several checks and balances. And what you're saying is you pass it off to Bureau Veritas, and then you wait for them to give you the advice. There should be an engineer, again, on the permit. It says plan review, which is Bureau Veritas.
Right.
It says public works, or plan review could, and then it says planning, which is the engineer. Then it has fire, the 4 blocks. Since you've been mayor, it's only been 1 block signed, and that's you under public works. And what city council have been over and over and over asking you to clearly define the process and get more people looking at it, whether it be an engineer that we had that was signing off, and the reason why David Linedecker left. You had Bureau Veritas, who's been doing this, but when they had failed things, and the Panther Hill was allowed to continue to move forward in their own development after they had failed, that was something that was moved forward by you as the mayor. And so we're not trying to go get the semantics. We're trying to figure out what's the process, because Panther Hill is here, 70% done. But we have 2 other projects. One is, they look like they're about 25% done. And we just want to make sure that the city council and the citizens know what is the process, how do we get an engineer to make sure, or what's the letter, what you gonna get from LJA on both of the project, on all 3. There's no engineer that's looked at, the city has not had an engineer look on our behalf, and if they have, please send us the document.
Okay, hold on just a second. Counselor, the attachment A scope of services, where council, a couple months ago or so, approved at $5,280. Can we, because it's the same meeting, can we not go back, revisit that agenda item, and approve this document so that these folks with licenses are further involved? Can we not revisit that agenda item?
Bureau Veritas is not the only issue.
No, hold on. I'm just trying to follow up on your concerns.
Yes, sir.
If the legal question is, can you revisit that agenda item regarding this, you certainly can.
Okay, so
regarding the
if,
scope of services for Bureau Veritas.
so if council stops hesitating, we can have these folks, Bureau Veritas, a different division, going in, checking behind what their other people and the engineers do. So it's council's prerogative.
I didn't see it was a hesitation. It looks like it says Mayor Allen, and you just didn't have the proper documents, which was the ordinance for us to move forward. That's number 8. And so what we're saying is, pointing fingers is not going to be good, because you're going to lose. Number 8 is your agenda item, and you didn't have subsequent documents for us to move forward. We want to support you. We've talked about this before.
You made it real clear.
I have.
Yeah.
We can move forward with number 8
item
because we
8.
have the document.
Item 8 is Counselor Zex, your city attorney's item.
You put your
I
name,
did not
you put your
this
name
on
behind
there.
it.
I did not type it up. Yes, my name is there.
Yeah, I know, I can read.
Well, I wonder
But
sometimes.
again, even Bureau Veritas is not the only issue, and I appreciate you wanting us to pass
Then
this.
what's the issue?
City engineer, but the same issue for 9 months. City engineer.
Who do you want to be the city engineer? LJA, Trilogy, pick one. We'll have it on the next agenda in 2 weeks. You can vote it up or down.
Oh,
Pick one.
That sounds good, we moving.
Yeah, which one? Can I get a motion to have, yeah, Councilwoman Williams?
Wait, I thought we were already using Trilogy and we're already using LJA, so, I mean, what are we talking about?
So,
Yeah, we are.
so we
We want
voted
to have
down.
it under the title of city
The
engineer.
city
But I'm saying, I
council,
thought we
the
used
city council
Trilogy
had voted
already.
down. The
We
city
did.
council had voted down using, voted down the engineering. The mayor used Trilogy for an emergency appointment for 30 days. Trilogy only looked at the cricket field and another project. We're saying these 3 projects have still been moving forward and no engineer has looked at that. Now, I'm
Which
okay.
project?
I'm
Which
o-
project? Give me a
in
project.
Panther Hill, all the ones we're talking about, the 3 we're talking about. There's been no engineer for the city of Prairie View that can give you a document that says, this coincides with your regulations, your ordinances, and your thing. That's all we're asking, that we just make sure that they connect.
Okay.
So
Then let me
we're
answer
saying,
that
if we do project by project, we can make a motion at the end of the meeting to approve LJA engineering or Trilogy project or project, depending upon if we have the money in the budget. But I'm okay with that, but for you to say, hey, I'm using who I want, and we haven't even approved nobody, that's what we're saying, just follow protocol.
The engineer on Panther Hills was the same one that worked for the city for about 11 or 12 years during your entire tenancy.
He resigned.
He resigned in May.
After he reviewed Panther Hills documents.
Show me a
never signed
document with
off
his
on it.
signature.
Well,
So
we have
you
one.
have it, so you have that,
He never-
he quit because
he quit
because you're
because he
trying to
wouldn't
force
sign
him
off
because
on
he
it.
wouldn't sign off on it. So you show us the document with his signature. Now, what about the other 2 developments, Mr. Mayor?
No, excuse me, Line Decker should have quit a long time ago. because
I
they didn't do
agree.
right. They
He
didn't do
did.
right by Jones Elementary. That had nothing to do with us.
Or
and that was
Brookside
ISD.
Apartments.
Okay, I think we're off the agenda.
Yes.
Let's go back
Okay.
to these.
What's, Councilman Wallace?
So I think one thing we can all agree on is that we want Bureau Veritas at the next meeting to talk about the updated
These 3.
inspections for all 3 of these things.
So let's clarify what exactly we want from Bureau Veritas, so there's no disconnect and they don't come with the right information. We want to be sure that they bring updated permitting information for
All buildings. Because this documents don't have all the buildings, like the development by Jones Road have more than 2 buildings up. And then it said they failed 3 of the buildings. In the documents we have before us, with the development behind Jones Elementary.
So,
So updated permits.
We wanna have the, what is their, so last time she came, she went through the review process, she was supposed to come back, but she hadn't been back since, so I don't know what happened. When Bureau Veritas presented to us 2 months ago.
So why don't, one of us email Bureau Veritas all this stuff that we wanted and CC the mayor and Zach and Ms. Johnson or whatever, because then when it comes back and they come to present, then y'all are gonna swear somebody forgot something. So why don't one of y'all send the email of exactly what it is the council wants?
So.
sounds good. Do we have a hold on, do we have a volunteer on that?
At one point, we tried to do that.
Yeah, so I reached out to Bureau Veritas to try to get the information before the meetings about the situation. Whenever I reached out to them, they told me all the troubling news about the Panther Hills apartment. Well, whenever I went to bring it up at special meeting, all of a sudden he said he could, well, he didn't say, but he stopped getting in contact with me because obviously there must have been some type of communication. So we've tried to talk to Bureau Veritas, but then when I tried to contact the headquarters, they said we only want to talk to the mayor. And they said we don't want to talk to the council members. So I understand, trust me, if that was a route, I would take it every
But
day and
the
have.
individual you was communicating with, Chris Haver, was a liar. so he wasn't telling the truth.
No,
He's the one who signed off on all that.
He signed off on the new one.
Hold on just a second. I
Ms.
wanna-
Haver was talking two different stories, and I told you that.
Hold on just a second. Counselor, this attachment needs an ordinance.
If indeed it needs a budget amendment, which it shows it does on the agenda, then it
Okay.
needs an ordinance.
Okay,
You could
so,
separately change the scope of services and do a separate budget amendment ordinance with it. But yeah, the item on tonight's agenda is a budget amendment in conjunction with this.
have we asked you to prepare that for the next meeting? Would you please?
You have now. Tonight you did, yes.
Okay, and let me tell you why. Building official, even part-time, apply knowledge of building codes, policies, and procedures to the day-to-day functions of the building department. Assist process applicant inquiries and notifications regarding city zoning ordinance, permit fees, submittal documents, and permitting. Processing of permits to include coordination with city departments and consultants. Coordination of plan review of new residential and commercial projects. Answering calls and returning emails of code-related questions. Issuance of permits and certificate of occupancy, conduct follow-up investigations on inactive permits. We're going through all this and we got the solution to fix all the concerns that all of us have.
But Mr. Mayor,
This is bringing someone in to oversee this with the licenses and,
So you haven't brought in the subdivision ordinance at all, which is the width of the streets and the water supply and
We
all
need
of
to
that,
review-
which is
yes,
done
we
under
need
your
to review
subdivision
that.
ordinance.
Could you send that to us?
we'll do it.
We would need to review that one, because the issue, what's happening, because of our lack of policies that manage large developments that we're talking about. A developer comes in and says that they're doing clearing, then they'll throw something up, pop something up, and if we don't have someone that's checking, they'll say, well, oh, whoops, I'm sorry. And then they'll continue to move forward, and then they'll give the permits. And so this is a current example. I'm not gonna call the names, but we're saying, how do we now make sure that we have the example from Brookside. Brookside, that the street, the Brookside, the two back streets are undrivable. Why would we look at Brookside and then turn around and have three larger developments that's gonna double the size of the current population in the city with these three? And turn around and not make sure that we have the protocols in place that we want the development. But we want them to be able to have not parking every type like at Panther Hill. Emergency vehicles could get in and out, and that they have the basic water lines they need, and they have the basic sewer, and everything is okay. But what's so hard about that?
Okay, so what's the solution?
We need an
Mr. Mayor,
engineer.
So,
We need an
Mr. Mayor,
engineer. 9 months later, then we need an engineer.
alright, so Mr.
So
Mayor,
what's the solution?
so to finish my statement, so yes, I talked to Christopher Harry, but then I talked to the people above him, right? Not just Christopher Harry, because like Councilwoman Wendy said, there were some discrepancies in what I was told and what she was told, so I went above him. And those people told me that they weren't gonna talk to me just as individual city councilmen representing the city, that they wanted to talk to the mayor. So with that being said, in terms of Bureau Veritas, I would love to send the email, but I know from past communication, it is best if the mayor send that, and I think that's just a simple send. Now, I think we need to finish what we need to ask Bureau Veritas to bring to the table, so that they can have some specifics. So we already said the updated permits. I think we need to bring the most recent inspection reports, the most recent, because in the packet that y'all received, there are multitude of inspection reports. Let's say some of them failed, but then parts of it got passed. So we want the most recently updated inspection reports. Are there any other things outside of the permits and the most recent?
An engineer that has certified that our ordinance,
This is
oh no, it
Bureau
says,
Veritas.
oh, for Bureau Veritas, okay.
Bureau Veritas. So
We
most
wanna know what information are they sending to the mayor? They're gonna come in and say, well, we sent this to the front office and y'all have the reports, remember?
yeah, that's
She
what
said
she
that
said
at
last
the-
time. She said that it's a software that our front office has access to, which I know that went through the proper training to even be aware of it. No one was aware of it, because obviously we would have used it. But she said that it was accessed on a computer that we could pull it up where it showed what's up to date, all within this software. Now, I don't know how we not using it or whatever the case may
I
be.
thought she was supposed to get with the front staff, front office staff, and she was supposed to show them how to get into the computer, log onto the, whatever the software was. Because she was told that they didn't know how to operate it, they didn't know nothing about that.
Yeah, but I think that fell into play. We thought that we had a disagreement once before, but we still haven't approved our building official, so I'm assuming once we approve and go through the process of having a building official, that then she would take on the time.
You're right, they said they were gonna do the training as a part of it once but we've been back and forth with this for a couple of months.
All right, so Mr. Mayor, can we get you to send, or ask Bureau Veritas, can they send a representative that can speak and bring the most recently updated inspection reports from the 3 different buildings and updated permits from Panther Hill Apartment, the Gates at Prairie View, and Campus Edge Apartments?
Yeah, send me the note, yeah, I'll be glad to.
Yeah,
That's
can
not
you
a
please
problem.
send that email to him and then
Yeah,
that way-
I'll cut and paste and send exactly what you write. Is everything that you want in there?
Yes, now I also
Okay.
have some things for the mayor. Bureau Veritas only supports us on one end. The City of Prairie View City Hall issue is the mayor and the front office staff. They should be able to give us where we at in the process, whether say Panther Hill, where they're at in their process, what buildings they have, da-da-da. We should be able to know from the mayor if, I don't know the other 2 names, if Campus Edge, have all the permits moved, do they have all the subsequent city paperwork? That's a yes or no, and what they may be missing. The Gates at Prairie View, which is behind Alta Vista, we wanna know, do they have the permits? If not, if they're only doing clearing, then that's also important to know, because I heard that they were trying to do some concrete stuff and foundation. So I definitely want to clarify, again, if it's just about communication, we want something from the mayor and something from Bureau Veritas that communicates to us where we at in this process.
And whenever I send over the email, can you also CC, probably Mayor Pro Temp, on the email?
Yeah,
towards
I'll BCC the council in total, sure.
Okay, thank you. So we can just be constant communication. If they say they can't, come because of whatever reason, like, we would like to see that communication as well, so we're updated, so it won't be a question at the next city council meeting.
No problem.
My other issue for number
Next.
15.
Yeah.
Engineer, what are we gonna do? That's part of this conversation. We're missing are you gonna get us the engineering that you said, did we pay for it?
We never pay for it by project, it's a pass-through.
Right.
It's a pass-through, it's a
Right.
pass-through.
But I
You
get
got
that, I get that, but the
The
check
developer
wasn't,
pays.
yes, but the developer didn't write a check to LJA Engineering.
It's a pass-through.
No, they wrote a check to the City of Prairie View, which means, again, since you know everything, they wrote a check to the City of Prairie View. You can't just take money from the City of Prairie View and write your own check to anybody else. So I'm asking you for the next meeting, since if we've had LJA Engineering do the inspection for all these 3 buildings, or 2 or 1, if you would have that documentation, and if not, what do we need to do to be able to get an engineer to go out as a pass-through, right? So if it's a pass-through, why an engineering firm didn't do Panther Hill and then the other company? And so,
Because Linedecker did it, you had it in place already.
but we don't have, so our process in the policy, city council's process is making sure that policy is followed. We're looking for a signed something, not what you told us, a signed document from an engineering firm that says we approved it to move forward. If you have that, we're done, but you don't. And so I'm asking you to figure out how we're gonna get that. How do we get a signed engineering from whoever you wanna contract with for those 3? And then that contract company, if we don't put it on the agenda, we're gonna have to wait. And so I'm bringing this to you to help us to figure out what company are we gonna contract with so we can move forward. Because right now, we don't have one.
Alright, so I guess I move that on well, I guess we can't do it to, well, no, it has, council, since it has something to do with this, can I make a motion that something be, on the next agenda?
If it's what you're just talking about right here,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
Yes,
All right,
if you
so
want
I
that
move
documentation.
that the mayor bring back, some engineers that we could vote.
Oh, no. Well,
Okay.
you can do that at the new business.
Right.
I thought you were gonna say that he bring back the engineering documentation on approval
Yes,
permits, if any.
No, he already done it.
the-
for the mayor, I would like to make a motion that the mayor bring back engineering documents and any permit or approvals, moving the 3 developments, Panther Hill Apartments, the gates at Prairie View, and Campus Edge Apartments.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that the mayor bring back documents on the developments of Panther Hill Apartments, the Gates of Prairie View, and Campus Edge Apartments.
Engineering too, I don't want you to forget that. I said engineering.
Engineering documents?
And reviews.
Okay, I stand corrected. Okay, you've heard the motion, ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Opposed have the same right? Ayes have it. New business.
my new business would be that the mayor, brings back, engineer companies in which we could choose to review or to oversight.
At the June 10th meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other new business? Council Wallace?
Put on there, update on inspection or most recent inspection reports for Panther Hill Apartments, Campus Edge Apartments, and what was the last one? Say his name.
Gates of Prairie
The
View.
Gates of Prairie View.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that updated Bureau Veritas reports.
Yeah, updated inspection reports from Bureau Veritas.
Okay. On Panther Hill Apartments, Gates of Prairie View, and Campus Edge Apartments. You've heard the motion, ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor?
Uh,
Ayes have it. Next,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
I move that we discuss and take possible action on updated status on USW and Public Works, where the mayor will present next steps moving forward on the next agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that the mayor bring back to council updated steps on USW, so we know where we are going forward.
USW and Public Works.
USW and Public Works. You've heard the motion, ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor? Ayes have it. Next.
to discuss and take action on scheduling a workshop to discuss city strategic plan.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that we add to the agenda, the discuss and take action on the city strategic plan. All in favor? Ayes have it.
Second, so we had a workshop earlier. Do we need to then move
Yeah, we do.
our workshop? So I move that we discuss and take action on a needs assessment for the roads within the city of Prairie limits.
For the June 22nd workshop?
We said we was gonna do it before the next meeting, or at the next general city council meeting.
So what date is that?
At 5. That would be
June 10th?
June 10th.
Okay.
So June 10th at 5.
Okay, did you catch that, Ms. Johnson?
Needs assessment workshop before the next city council meeting.
Okay. Councilman Jones?
To discuss and take action on public works, doing a survey of need for the roads.
Are you referring to our people
Yeah.
actually doing a
Yeah.
assessment?
Yes, sir.
No, they're not qualified to do that. We need an engineer to look at these roads.
So they were supposed to, so we, in our workshop, that's the same as the workshop?
It was so we could put it on the next meeting, so that wait 30 days, and then they could come back and do it.
They're not trained, they do limited pothole work, and I started that, but
We're not asking them to do an assessment,
Oh,
Mr. Mayor.
okay.
We're asking them to go through the roads, and you are here at the end, and they're supposed to help us get a baseline of what we need the engineer to do. Before we spend money on the engineer, we were asking the people who deal with the roads every day to give us some information, so we can then go to the engineer and say, this is what we need.
there was some personnel issue that Attorney Zach shared regarding the, well, I guess the personnel directives would be the best way to put it. Am I to assume this is a personnel directive?
I'm not sure, I believe what it's referring to in the charter where the city council doesn't directly, tell the employees what to do, basically, that comes from the mayor. So if you want to rephrase how you put that, maybe, I don't think that's what that is, but maybe it is.
Our intent was never, so this is what the mayor, our intent was at the workshop, was for how do we all get on the same page to support this needs assessment for the road plan that needs to be updated, has been updated in the city of Prairie. Mr. Mayor, we're not trying to direct the city employees to do anything, that's what you're going to do. But you was here and you heard our conversation and you agreed with it.
I came
All
at
we're
the end, I didn't agree with anything, I came at the end. I didn't see
Could we
most
just
of what
put
you
it on
talked
the
about.
agenda and then
Talk
talk about
about
it then? Like, just like we did with item number 9.
So,
We can add it as an
so
agenda
how are you
item.
trying to put it on as an agenda item? What's
It's
your,
not discussed.
that's what I'm saying, you can carefully word it so that you can. I just, tell me how you
Discuss
wanna-
and take action for the mayor to,
No, just a needs assessment for the city of Prairie. The mayor is the one who executes that. We can add his name at the end.
okay, so you're not directing city employees to bring back anything, you're just putting on the
We're
needs
having a
assessment on the agenda itself. How to accomplish whatever.
yes,
The needs assessment on the public streets of the city,
ma'am.
just generally that way.
Yes, ma'am.
Discuss and take action on a needs assessment.
Yes.
Yes, cause we was gonna come up
For the
with the
public
ranking
streets of the
system
city.
as to 1 through 4.
And I'm telling you, they haven't been trained on streets, roads, and
But
asphalt,
look,
they just, they're
yeah.
not qualified to do a needs assessment.
Mayor.
That's an engineer's function.
Mayor, all they would be doing, if the street is unpaved in the city, they would let us know. They're saying that this street is unpaved, so we need to pave it. Item 2, poor condition. I mean, the street, you say that they do potholes and all those kind of things on a daily basis, so they'll tell us whether or not.
But that's a discussion you're gonna have at the next meeting.
Yeah,
If you don't
that's
think they're
fine.
qualified
So
and
we
city
don't need
council thinks they are, you can have the discussion and then you direct the
Next.
employees.
So
But
it's
yeah,
on the
that's-
agenda. Next item, yes.
Discuss and take action on council retreat. And I got one more after that.
Okay, go ahead.
Discuss and take action on city website.
Okay, anything else?
Or actually, can I say improvements of the city website?
Sure.
To discuss and take action on developing a permit application process of folder / file.
Can you repeat?
To discuss and take action on development of permit application process, folder, or file.
Okay, anything else?
Yes, I have 3 items. I want to discuss and take possible action for a forensic audit to be done for the last 3 years.
Why do you want to stop with 3 years?
Because that's my motion.
Hello? It's okay, it would blow out
Yes,
the
it
budget.
just allows us to have a conversation, like, what are y'all scared about?
No, we've been having audits every year.
You know what that'll cost you?
Not that, no idea. Next item. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
This is for June 24th meeting. This wasn't for the next meeting, because we have too many things on the agenda. This is also for, so this will be for the next meeting. The Sandra Bland Historical Park, discuss and take action on the Sandra Bland Historical Park. The mayor could update us on the report, the cost, and Councilman Jones, also have some reports. And so we want to just we want to have it where it's very broad, because we need to talk about remediation, the money was spent to do that. Who's gonna pay for some of these other things, and there's been some conversation, so we're just trying to put it out there to have it move
So
forward.
we got.
And this is separate from the landmark?
Yes,
Okay, two.
Did you say you have another?
yes, I have another one.
Okay.
Quick question.
Is that
Are you
June?
talking about June 10th or June 24th?
That meeting, the Sandra Bland was June 10th. The first one about the forensic audit was the 24th.
So this one you're talking about put on the next one?
Yeah, Sandra Bland Park, this is June 10th.
Did
Okay.
you say you had another one?
Yes, the other one was what we talked about, was to discuss and take action to do an investigation, requesting an investigation on the mayor abuse of powers in reference to his, emergency hire.
Wouldn't it be
You got that?
for the special meeting?
That's what, special meeting on June 3rd. Do we have a time?
Yes.
Think we-
I showed 6 PM.
6 p.m.
Okay. Anything else? Motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Done.